Since we last talked, there's an organization change, and the digital transformation innovation team have been moved to the Directorate for Strategy for the healthcare, for healthcare with Dean Sullivan and Yvonne Goff, and that has been a very positive development. You know, we've talked before that there are a plethora of disruptive technologies coming at us really fast, and we can really leverage these. And you know, what Angus will present will be a brilliant example of the Internet of Medical Things. I've told you briefly before about our leapfrog strategy. So we want to move from a paper-based, presence-based and acute-based health solution to one that's home and community-based, that's around remote monitoring, proactive healthcare, cloud-based, open source where possible, is integrated, is social, is AI enabled. And just in case you weren't in any, if you're in any doubt how we are a laggard, this is some data that I'm just showing in the left-hand screen from future-proofing healthcare. Face-to-face forms of treatment are significantly more common than telemedicine in Ireland. With Romania and Serbia, it ranks last for this measure in Europe, which I think is a damning statistic. But we've made a lot of progress in COVID, and we're on the way to improve. And ultimately, you know, where we want to get to is in a 5-year time frame to become a digital leader. Now, we can't be a leader in everything, so we're working on a number of different focus areas where we will be the European digital health leader. And just this morning with Barry Pratt, he's a consultant in UCH, we took the target of being the European leader in cystic fibrosis in the next 18 months. So we won't lead in all areas, but in targeted areas, we will lead. We're starting to get some coverage. There was a campaign launched this week by Media Planet in the UK, and the narrative around Ireland moving from a digital health laggard to leader is starting to take hold, and there's real evidence behind this. We talk always about Sláintecare and stay left shifts. So repeatedly, we're talking about stay left, shift left, and looking for 4 outcomes: reducing cost of care, improving quality of care, improving quality of life, improving clinician experience, and all the time really want to managing the patient at home or the patient with a chronic condition at home. Here is just a quick map of some of the companies we're working with, but you'll notice the center of gravity of the companies we're working with is very much towards the left, towards the home and community. One example, which isn't to the left, but we're really pleased to announce kind of the graduation of our vital signs automation POC demonstrator in Cavan. This has driven a decision to actually implement vital signs automation in 19 hospitals, which will start probably in a month's time. And we're really pleased that one of the major Dublin hospitals will announce next week that they have just turned on a vital signs automation. So it'll be the first Model 4 hospital to do that. So just want to thank everybody involved in this really, really important decision. And some of you will be familiar with vital signs automation, but just in terms of capturing the benefits, we captured the benefits across the 4 vectors of the quadruple aim. And what's really important, we're reducing error rates to almost to 0 on the National Early Warning Score, driving earlier intervention. So this is technology actually will save lives, will reduce the amount of sepsis occasion or things that we'll catch sepsis much earlier and be able to treat it better. And also unanticipated cardiac arrests, we'll be able to anticipate those quicker. We've been making really good progress with our heart care at home. And, as you can see, this is aligned with our stay left, shift left. But I just wanted to share the spectacular results. We've had a demonstrator running with Centric Health and Roche, and we've had over 100 patients monitored for 6 months. We've had 49 deteriorations that were managed remotely, and we've had just 1 single hospitalization, which is a fantastic result. And that hospitalization was because the patient actually didn't follow the new prescription that they were given until it was too late. So again, looking at this quadruple aim, a key benefit in terms of cost reduction is the avoided hospitalization. The quality of care is improving, and that we're getting instantaneous remote titration of medicine, and we're also getting long-term medicine optimizations. The quality of life for the patient stays at home and avoids a potential 10-day admission, and the clinician experience is much improved. We're making great progress on our RespirSense national implementation, and Des O'Toole is the leader of that project. We're in 18 locations, and by the end of next month we want to close down the implementation phase, and we hope we'll be at 23 or 24. And similarly, we have these quadruple aim or stay left, shift left benefits. Just to refresh you briefly, we have an overarching digital transformation strategy. We talk about informing, igniting, identifying, iterating, and implementing, and today we're going to focus on inform and igniting. So let's talk about our digital academy. We have shared before with you the architecture of our academy. We have a master's with UL and all the Irish universities. We're going to talk about a new collaboration with Dell. We're working very closely with Cisco. Des has been leading our efforts with SAS. We have a collaboration with UiPath. But today we're going to announce an important collaboration with Microsoft, and more on that in a couple of minutes. The flagship of what we do is our Masters in Digital Health Transformation. And I want to let you know that our registration is open for both HSE employees and actually ecosystem employees. We really want to congratulate the class of 2021. The class graduated 2 weeks ago at the University of Limerick. Unfortunately, it was virtual. But we will be running a formal Digital Academy graduation ceremony in Dr. Stevens as soon as it's safe to do so. A really important thing that we're kind of announcing is the availability of the video showcases and testimonials from all of our class of 2021, and Ross has done a great work with Annette McGilligan to collate this. So I think Ross is actually making this live right now. So if you're interested in learning about some of the projects that the students completed, you can go to our website and you watch the videos. Of the first year, we had about 20 projects, and 18 of them were viable or being implemented. And an example of one of those, James Carr, who's the chief pharmacist in Blanchardstown, he's actually launching his medicines information app tomorrow in Blanchardstown, and you're all encouraged and you're invited to that. It's at 10:30 if you want to connect. It's jamesm.carr@hse.ie. We continue to scale the program, so we now have 34 projects for the following year's class, and we recently previewed these with the Digital Solutions Review Board. So I'd urge you to apply now. For HSE staff, there are scholarships available, and just go to our hsedigitaltransformation.ie website and you will be able to register there. Another important announcement, and real kudos to Lorraine Smith from our team, who worked very closely with HSELand and Orion Learning to create a new module, Introduction to Digital Health class on HSELand. And this is a foundational learning class, which is now available. If you're HSE employee, just go to HSELand, or if you're a student, you can request login credentials from HSELand. So would very much recognize our Lorraine for driving this and making this class available. We are super excited. Our joint innovation program with Dell. We've announced the Digital Futures in Healthcare Diploma. The first module starts next week. This is initially an Irish offering, but we intend to scale it globally. We have a welcome from Paul Reed to the class, myself and Jason Ward, and Ryan Hines and James Norman, the EMEA CIO, will be talking about that. We're almost at 1,000 registrations. You will receive a professional diploma at the end of this after the 6 months, so recommend that. We're now about to announce kind of a collaboration with the Microsoft Academy, and Emer, if you're online I would just hand over to you to just give a very quick summary of what we are trying to accomplish in this collaboration.
Sure, thanks, Martin. Ross, if you'd like to just transition on to the next slide, that'd be great, thank you. So Microsoft is collaborating with the HSE. It's actually an ongoing collaboration we began last year, and we're kind of enhancing it this year, where we're making available a whole suite of fundamental, intermediate and advanced certification and training to HSE employees. What you see here is kind of a representation of the learner experience portal, which is, you can see the URL is at the bottom of the page there if anybody wants to, if any of the HSE employees want to navigate there. And you simply just sign in with your HSE credentials, and you'll be brought to a landing page where you select a role and some other preferences. And you'll be brought to this landing page and you can access the benefits that are available to the HSE. We have Microsoft Learn, which is a portal for self-paced learning. You can do either full learning paths for, say, an Azure Administrator or Azure Fundamentals course, for example, or there's courses on AI and machine learning. We've got the full suite there. The Microsoft Training Days, which is in the middle at the top there, these are like fundamental level trainings. So they're two half days normally spread over 2 days, and you can see the full catalogue here. We've added a number of new titles this year. You see the green title, or the green new indicates new titles. And for anybody who attends any class that has fundamentals in it, you're automatically issued a free exam voucher to take that fundamentals level exam. Ross, if you just want to go back up one page, if you don't mind, and we'll just talk about some of the other benefits. So on the right-hand side at the top, you'll see Microsoft delivered courses. So these are advanced role-based courses, up to 20 students per class with a live instructor doing labs and breakout sessions and that kind of thing. We have an element where you can have discounted training with a learning partner. So if you don't want to do a virtual training, you could look to do face-to-face with a learning partner in Ireland at a 70 to 80% discount off list price. We have exam preparation sessions, and we have Microsoft certifications and practice tests. The practice test is a new addition to the program this year. Later this year, we're hoping to, well, not we're hoping, we're planning to deliver hands-on, like mini hack experiences for fundamental level learners as well. So Ross, if you want to navigate on 2 pages, we'll see the catalogue for the advanced courses. So you can see there's a full suite of training that's available there for technical resources. And I would encourage anybody who has an interest in cloud computing or, you know, getting the fundamentals of cloud, the Azure Fundamentals course is a great place to start, even if you're not super technical, just to get the language of cloud, to understand what people are talking about and concepts and that kind of thing. It's a really, really, really solid course to start with. There's another link on this page as well that you can click on, and it will show kind of training journeys like little metro maps, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for having me on.
Brilliant, Emma. I'm sorry for calling you Emer. That's you know, fantastic, and just the generosity of Microsoft in sort of making this available. It really shows the commitment to HSE as a strategic customer. So we hope these courses are used far and wide by HSE employees, and it's a really significant addition to our HSE Digital Academy. It's starting to become one of the broadest and you know, deepest academies anywhere in the world. So thanks a million, Emma, and look forward to the continuing partnership.
Thanks, Martin.
Great, thank you. Thanks again, Emma. So I'm in the wind up, but we've 2 important things that we want to cover before I hand over to Professor Luke O'Neill. I want to mention we've made a lot of progress in terms of getting international collaboration and attention. And on September 28, I've been asked to, convening a plenary session at the United Nations General Assembly Science Summit on digital health in collaboration with ISC. And you can register for this, you know, at the link there, or you'll find the details on our website. But we're going to have about 30 thought leaders from across the globe collaborating around a simple agenda of stay left, shift left, and leaping ahead. And we'll have a position paper published. So please look out for that. You know, we have people like you know, Bob Wachter and Anand Krishnan and others already agreed to speak at it. We're really pleased to have a, you know, collaboration with the UK government and with the British Embassy and the UK Department of Trade. And on October the 6th, we have a joint event where we're going to announce a new taxonomy for digital health, and we will have 10 of the leading UK digital health companies presenting, and they will present to our own digital solutions review board. And we're really pleased to have His Excellency Paul Johnson, British Ambassador to Ireland, introducing that event. You can email Peter Hartnett there for registration details, or you'll find the details on our website. With Yvonne Goff, who's the National Director for Change and Innovation, we have been thinking about the whole idea of Healthcare 4.0, and we will talk about this narrative in future DAFs, but I just want to come to the bottom where we talk about patient involvement and responsibility. We want to give two final examples, and Des, I know I'm over time, but we'll finish those. We have a fantastic example of a patient, Doreen Gannon, who has used the technology to self-diagnose herself, and I'm going to ask Ross to run the video, and I think it's a brilliant exemplar of Healthcare 4.0 and a patient taking responsibility and using technology. So over to you, Ross.
Hello, my name is Doreen Enright, and I'm going to recount an incident which occurred the beginning of January 2020, and how I obtained a diagnosis using technology, medical advice and self-management. My husband and I were out for a walk one morning. About 20 minutes into the walk, my heart started fluttering. As we moved on, it got stronger and stronger until about 10 minutes from home, I was getting very, very strong palpitations. I did manage to arrive home safely, and I went into the kitchen, took my blood pressure. It showed a very, very high blood pressure, a regular heart. I got my husband to screenshot the screen and checked my Fitbit, which showed huge spikes, some up to 200 beats a minute. At that point, I knew I had no alternative but to go to Mullingar Casualty. By the time we arrived at Casualty, my heart had stabilised. I showed one of the nurses the readout from my blood pressure, the Fitbit readings, and I was actually seen very, very quickly. I was transferred to the cardiac unit where I saw Dr. Cronin. I was given every test under the sun, including a stress test, echo, etc., full NCT. Unfortunately, everything was negative, and Dr. Cronin at that point was unable to give me any treatment or to make a diagnosis. Despite the negative tests, I knew that something was wrong. Dr. Cronin was very sympathetic, and she recommended a Holter. She also suggested a Cardia Mobile might prove useful, as it was an ECG monitor that I could use at home. I got a 48-hour Holter from the GP. Unfortunately, it showed very little, just a minor blip, but the Cardia proved absolutely invaluable. This is the Cardia. As you can see, it's conveniently placed at the back of my phone. To take an ECG, I just put my fingers at the back, press record. It takes 30 seconds and gives me the reading. You can see the recordings and it gives you a full history. Each time I had an episode after that, I recorded it on the Cardia. Finally, I went to the GP armed with my Cardia history and the irregularities shown on the Fitbit, and was referred to a cardiologist. Predominantly on the basis of the Cardia, I was diagnosed with supraventricular tachycardia, following which I had an ablation, and I've been fine since. The Cardia Mobile was not only beneficial for myself, but two other members of my family, in particular my sister, who was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation following the use of the Cardia. It shows that how treatment and diagnosis can be improved when technology, medical advice and self-management come together. Thank you for listening. I hope this shows that us, geriatrics, a word I detest, can use technology and equipment just as usefully as the younger generation. Thank you.
So we have this new primordial soup we call our methodology of engagement, Open Innovation 2.0, where we're all innovating together. And the example that Gary's going to talk about is the example of a patient advocate, working with an SME and now with sort of consultant to actually, make things better for, patients in Ireland, and allow patients take more self-responsibility and improve their outcomes. And this is a slide that Ross has made before. We, each time we engage a new, company or idea or patient, we go through an exploration phase, then we go through proof of concept, we go through a demonstrator, and lastly, we go to broad adoption. And arguably, where we are with OWN and DermView, we're actually in broad adoption. With Angus, we're, now starting to tease out what the proofs of concept would look like. And with Gary and a company called Zendra and Thomas Coleman, who unfortunately couldn't stay on, we're at, getting ready to start pilot and proof of concept in collaboration with Aisling Gannon, who was one of our master students, and congratulations to Aisling, who was successful in landing the digital general manager's role in Sligo Leitrim. So, well done, Aisling. I don't know, Gary, do you want to talk through the slides, or do you want me to talk about them? I can step through them, or for you, as you like.
If you step through them, Martin, that'd be great. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I just want to say the last presentation from Angus, I think it really kind of showed me that if we can get things right, there's a lot of things we can share together and work on together. And I'm somebody living with Parkinson's for the last 12 years or so. I was diagnosed when I was 44, came completely out of the blue, absolutely devastating diagnosis. I'm not going to go through all the process that I went through. Just suffice to say that it was a long period of denial before I finally saw the light. And in seeing the light, I kind of reorganized my life completely, and I started to exercise. I started to take part in things like Irish set dancing, Pilates, a lot of running, cycling. I cycled around Iceland a couple of years ago. I did a lot of mad stuff, and I've been doing a lot of mad stuff, and it's enhanced my life immeasurably. And I'm just kind of at the stage where all the things I'm doing, along with the medication that I'm taking, are having a really positive effect and are giving me back my life. And to go from the diagnosis day, which is all a disaster, and we really have to do better in terms of when these diagnoses are being delivered to people who are not expecting anything at all. We have to do a much better job there, so that people can say, yes, I can live with Parkinson's. It's definitely something I'd rather not do, but what I've discovered is that it's certainly something that is doable, and it's not by any chance or means a death sentence or anything like that. It's quite the opposite. And what I've kind of in meeting up with Martin and Tom and kind of going through that, like, I have a lot of stuff going on in my head of all the things that I'm doing, and it's getting all that out and putting it in a format that works on the basis of a kind of a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach to dealing with Parkinson's. So it's medication, it's exercise, it's sleep, it's speech and language therapy, it's occupational therapy, it's all of these things that add up to kind of taking care of the person who's living with Parkinson's disease. And probably, Mark, if you go on to the next file, we can get a little bit more into it. If you see on the right hand side of the screen, there is kind of the app home screen that we're currently kind of demoing, putting in kind of the main sections, the main areas that are really important for somebody living with Parkinson's, and then trying to populate that with all the things that I'm doing and many people are doing, so that it's all contained and there for the person to go through themselves at their own pace. And what we've tried to do is put in everything that is that I use, and that many of my friends who have also got a diagnosis of Parkinson's, that they're using as well, and just make it easy for people to just click on the link and go for it, and bring you into our set dancing environment. It'll bring you into my speech kind of practice group. One of the things that happens first when you get to Parkinson's is your voice starts to fade. You don't realize that. and it happens over a period of time, and suddenly you're talking very quiet. There are ways to kind of deal with that, and I have it here. And the other thing is the communication, the ability to connect with people. We've included that as well. So very often for people with Parkinson's, what happens is, unfortunately, people retreat from society, from life, and they because they don't have any kind of connection point. They don't have anybody to meet with, to talk to kind of engage with. And I just think that is completely not acceptable in an environment where we've just had the last 2 hours, brilliant things kind of displayed to us, and some of them are in different stages of development. But I think the ability to communicate and connect with somebody is critical for all of us anyway, but most importantly for people living with a neurological condition, and in this case, Parkinson's. And by the way, Parkinson's is unfortunately the fastest growing neurological condition we have on the planet. So it kind of behoves us to kind of move in a direction that we're taking that on head on. So, what I'm kind of trying to do and working really well with Tom and Martin on this is to get all these things together, make it really easy for someone to kind of follow the path of. We ask questions about medication. We talk about exercise. We talk about things I've mentioned already about what you're doing in terms of keeping moving and active in a pleasant kind of sort of way, not a kind of a dictatorial way. You must do this or you won't have that. That's not going to work for anybody. So we really try to kind of get this all together, make it easy for people to kind of live with an incurable, continually deteriorating condition, but we can progress and we can be very progressive ourselves in how we deal with it. And this, I think, is a real opportunity for us here. And Martin, I don't know if you want to step in and kind of talk about that and move to the next screen and talk about
well, maybe just to comment, Gary, and it's fantastic and inspirational what you're saying. I think the idea, we came across Thomas Coleman and Zendra, and the data from the mHealth developer economics says it takes on average 15 months to build a digital health solution, and Gary and Tom came together for a day, and within a day they'd actually built a prototype app built by service users for other service users. And Gary was telling me that maybe just a couple of times a year he might have the possibility to have an engagement with a Parkinson's consultant, and sometimes they're actually quite condescending, but the rest of the year Gary has to manage himself. And Gary used his own experience to and use this app platform to transfer that knowledge into a platform that many Parkinson's users across the country and indeed beyond Ireland could actually use and indeed contribute to the further development of the app. So there's been remarkable progress, and Gary and Tom are working with Ashton Gannon in Sligo Leitrim, and the next step will be to take this app and put it in the hands of patients with Parkinson's and actually see how they get on with it, and to figure out what works, what doesn't work, how can it be improved. And it's it's really exciting. And I think the thing that's really important about it is it's built for patients, by patients, and more I think we will see patients mobilizing and actually doing stuff for themselves in conjunction with clinicians and others. And I just can't commend Gary highly enough for actually taking this on and trying to improve the conditions for a patient cohort that have a very difficult diagnosis to deal with. And I've witnessed how Gary is inspirational in his daily life in terms of all the things he is doing to actually live the best life he can. Absolutely inspirational.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. This is Tom from Zendra Health here as well. So it's been an absolute privilege to be working with Gary in helping him. Like what we believe in Zendra Health is we help healthcare professionals and people to build personalised, digitalised care that's kind of wrapped around individuals' needs rather than condition. And when we met Gary straight away, just his positivity like, you know, all the kind of shared goodwill from him and his peers. And really what it's about, I think digital health is really, it's all about enhancing the service pathways. It's making people more aware of the service being provided. And especially in the Parkinson's community, it's just making hopefully more people aware that they're not alone, that there's great resources out there, information and guidance and social activities that can help them be able to manage their condition better. And that's what we're there for. Like, Gary's our hero, and all we're trying to do is just like create a platform for more people and like his peers to you know, give people the supports they need that have Parkinson's. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Well, thanks very much, Tom and Martin. But I have to say, I mean, with the two of you, I mean, it's just been, you've been my inspiration to kind of keep going with this. But it really is important that from a Parkinson's perspective, that people engage with each other, with their friends, their family, that they don't do what I mentioned at the very start, which is kind of start to, you know, remove themselves from society. It's quite the opposite that needs to happen. And my vision on this is that when the diagnosis is delivered in a proper manner, that immediately referral will come to all the necessary kind of therapies that are so important in dealing with Parkinson's, but also that something like this could be, you know, advised to people as something that would be useful for them to keep in touch with their buddies, their friends, whoever they need to, but also to kind of follow some of the things there that can help them get through their daily kind of, I won't say battle, but the daily kind of showdown with Parkinson's. And some days are better than others. That's very true, but that's very true for all of us. This is just something that I hope will benefit people, as it will be a lot of information, a lot of help, a lot of tips in the one place, and we can keep adding to it, and people can add to it themselves as well. And you know, it's just something that would be far better than the current kind of image of Parkinson's. You know, when you Google Parkinson's, you get, unfortunately, an old man, you know, almost doubled over. And that is not Parkinson's for me, and indeed it's not Parkinson's for many, many people. And it shouldn't be that way. So what we're trying to do here is kind of bring it out of the darkness, acknowledge it, and say technology can play a huge role here to make life so much more livable for people who otherwise would have been forgotten about. And the last thing I'll say to you is, I mean, we don't know how many people in the country suffer from Parkinson's. It's between 12 and 18,000. I don't accept that. I don't think it's good enough in the country we're living in now, with the fabulous technology that we have such a wide gap between what we think is the number of people. Something like this will really help manage that situation and give people back an awful lot more hope than what they probably feel they have now. I'll say no more and leave it to you, Martin.
Right. You know, Gary, and I think there's a real opportunity. This is another area where Ireland can turn from a laggard to a leader. You know, we talked very briefly about Healthcare 4.0 earlier on. You know, key piece is patient involvement, but another key piece is moving care from a single clinician to an MDT team to actually a community where everybody's involved in the care. And this could be one of the best examples actually worldwide, where a community is actually taking responsibility for self-care, and it's really exciting. And by the way, I cycle with Gary sometimes, and I have a hard time keeping up with him, so it's certainly not stopping you. So thanks, Gary and Tom. That's you know, a really inspiring way to finish. To remind you, our master's program is open for registration. We're actually in the process with UL in terms of making this a global master's. We'll make an announcement on that maybe at the next DAF. But all 8 Irish universities have co-designed and co-delivered this, so it makes a really high quality master. So please register for that. There are scholarships for HSE employees. Take our new Introduction to Digital Health Transformation class that's on HSELand. Our new diploma with Dell around digital futures in healthcare starts next week. It actually is free. At the end, it's 90 minutes for 6 months. It'll be one of the largest digital healthcare trainings ever offered in the world, and we're hoping to hit the 1,000 student collaboration. So we have many Irish doctors and nurses and physios and pharmacists that have signed up to it. So it's not too late to sign up. We have the honour, based on what we've been doing in Ireland, to been asked to convene a plenary session at the UN General Assembly. It's on the 28th of September. We'll have about 30 luminaries from around the world contributing to it. We'll have a position paper, and we hope ultimately we may get to a new UN resolution around digital health, and it's themed around stay left, shift left. We have an exciting event with the British Embassy and UKTI around stay left, shift left, where we'll have presentations from 10 of the top UK digital health companies, and that is starting, that will be the 6th of October. As always, if you have a solution, whether you're a patient or whether you're a clinician or whether you're a company, and you think you'd like to work in the Irish health ecosystem, you can actually register your solution here at our digital innovation call on HSE digitaltransformation.ie. We review these monthly, and we'll get back to you quickly, and more often than not an exploration dialogue starts.